seeing this morning?
I guess, sorry, the one thing I would like to say is I know the fire department got here real fast because they actually had an engine sitting over there that just happened to be doing something with hazmat. So they were over here like right away.
Wow.
So I guess that's the one good thing.
Yeah. Well, Megan, thank you so much again. It's always great to have an eyewitness account, and unfortunately on a morning like this, but we thank you for your perspective this morning. Thank you, Megan. All right, Megan Riley this morning, who actually saw this plane come across, she said about 50 feet from the ground, an amazing perspective. If you're familiar with this area at all, you know where the Dave & Buster's is. Many people have seen that driving by on Mopac. You know where the Dave & Buster's. She was in that parking lot, and she saw the plane fly from north to south. She didn't see it hit this building, in fact, but she saw the big explosion afterwards. Lots of people like that around here this morning. If you're not familiar, we also talked to a trained pilot who actually saw the plane actually hit the building. He said it was a Cherokee 140. He's actually flown that exact plane before. He was visibly shaken and shaking this morning after seeing that amazing sight. Just an amazing sight this morning.
And it shot right across the road. It was going really fast. Those aren't fast airplanes. They cruise about 115. Mm-hmm. And it's telling if the engine was on full blast. Of course, I can't testify to that, right. But it sure was hauling.
Oh, man.
It was a really speedy dive. And it whacked into between the first and second floor of Echelon 3.
Can you show me exactly where, can you show our viewers exactly where you believe that plane hit?
See the white smoke?
Yeah.
It's right there. It's that hole.
Start with breaking news. Federal investigators are at a fiery scene in Austin, Texas, where the pilot of a small plane slammed into a 7-story building, which houses offices for the Internal Revenue Service and the CIA. Video from a traffic camera shows heavy smoke coming from the building. Investigators say the Cherokee 140 plane hit the building at 9:46 a.m. Central Time. The pilot has been identified as Joseph Andrew Stack. 2 people were injured and a third remains unaccounted for. Federal officials say the IRS and the CIA have offices in this complex. It's the reason why F-16 jets scrambled to the scene. In a strange twist, Austin firefighters were called to Stack's home, which he allegedly set on fire just before this. For more on this breaking news story, we turn to Austin, Texas radio host Alex Jones. Alex, you are in Austin, and all day we've been hearing about this, and we've also been hearing some contradicting reports about whether or not this crash was intentional, and repeated statements from the media that this was not an act of terrorism. But let's talk about this for a second. This is a guy who was upset with the U.S. government, Big Brother, taxes, bailouts, etc. Why isn't this a case of domestic terrorism?
Well, it's clear that this was intentional. Right now, that's 95% chance. He posted a manifesto on his own business site, or someone did, claiming to be him, saying that he was going to go after the government, and it was basically a manifesto / suicide letter. The FBI has ordered the internet service company that he had his servers with to take down his website. We actually broke this news about 4 hours ago. 3.5 hours ago. The Austin American-Statesman then confirmed it, and the FBI is saying that it was, right now, it looks like an intentional act, but they're not calling it terrorism. They're calling it a criminal act, but for the first few hours, they weren't sure. First, they said that he had stolen the plane. Now they're saying that he didn't steal the plane. The bigger issue here is that we've been aware of federal operations in Texas to demonize the Tea Parties and the states' rights movement. I've had this from the highest sources, people that have talked directly to Rick Perry, that he wants to target myself, Deborah Medina running for governor, and Ron Paul to try to demonize us. We've seen talking points lately saying the Tea Parties are going to stage some type of terror event. And then you have this suspicious incident where the government facilities, a government building with FBI, and IRS and other secretive agencies based in there. You have this happen. It is very, very suspicious. It may be a disgruntled, angry person who was shaken down by the oppressive tax authorities. Our own Treasury Secretary doesn't even pay taxes, but he makes everybody else pay them, and they keep raising them as we go into a depression and people go bankrupt. So it may be a real attack by someone that was angry at the government. Certainly that does happen sometimes. Or this may be a false flag staged event. And we know the Christmas event has now been confirmed that the CIA ordered the State Department to let the underwear bomber on the plane and protected him, got him through security. That has now been confirmed after a month and a half of the FBI denying it. And so we had Vice President Biden saying 2 days ago he's worried about lone nut terrorists. These guys love to telegraph what they're going to do before they do it. This may be another Reichstagian false flag event because the entire system, the controlled right wing, the controlled left wing, are panicking because populists are taking over the states. State governments are passing resolutions saying no to the federal government that's been hijacked by foreign banks, saying no to the oligarchs.
Alex, I want to step in for a second here. I want to hear about what people are saying in Austin. I mean, that's where you are. Is this frustration and anger with the IRS more widespread than what we're actually hearing about?
It's absolutely widespread. People are angry. They are upset. Our property values on average have gone down by more than 30% in the U.S., 20% in Austin, but our property taxes go up. There's more police, more tickets, more fines, more bills, more business taxes. The people are being pushed into bankruptcy. We've had nationwide sales tax receipts in the last year down by over 14%. That's a U.S. record. And the banks continue to rob and to steal from the people. And so, yes, there is massive anger at the IRS, the private collection agency for the private Federal Reserve. We didn't have the income tax until 1913 when the private Federal Reserve took over. Most Americans were exempt from income tax until 1951. And so, yes, there is major anger, but it's being focused into peaceful takeover of the states via the legislatures. And the last time the people were peacefully taking the states back, which control the federal government, the government staged the Oklahoma City bombing in 1995 to demonize the Tea Party movement under another name at that time. And so, yes, there's major anger, but people are constructively taking their cities, their counties, and their states back right now. And that's why for the last 2 months, I've been predicting a staged terror attack in Austin because we had the intel the government was getting ready to do it.
All right, Alex Jones, radio host, joining us from Austin, Texas, with that plane that crashed into the building that houses the IRS. Thanks so much, Alex.
Okay, we're live at 6:12 Central Standard Time, 6:12 p.m. and 27 seconds. That was from 3:15 or so Central today when I was in Russia today. Now, let's be clear here. I heard Mike Rivero just scanning through the dial on local Austin radio, Genesis talk show host. He formerly worked with big media news. He started What Really Happened in like 95, exposed the government for Vince Foster and things, lost his contacts. But he said what I already knew and what has been in many journalistic publications. There were over 1,000 bombings and terror attacks in the 60s and 70s that were real. Some were staged by government. Most were real. Communist groups, Black Panthers, others. And when you have a real terror attack, the news has an agreement with the government, and Mike was talking about this, to not cover it. There have been massive attacks against IRS buildings over the years. But when you have a real attack, they don't give attention to the terrorists. When you have a staged attack, you see a massive media blitzkrieg all over the world, all over the U.S., all over Europe. All you're seeing is this. All you're hearing is this. Now, it's not up on Infowars.com yet. We're having server problems from so much traffic. Our webmasters are locked out. It's up on prisonplanet.com right now. Get this article out to everybody in case we have other problems with that site. Source: FBI knew Austin attack was coming. Read the article. Then we have the KXAN reporting with eyewitnesses. Yeah, they were already fire trucks and police. I saw them out here, wonder what was going on, and then the plane came. On local Austin news this morning after 9:55 when it happened, They have all these highway cameras. I used to live right up by that building, a couple miles from it. They had highway cameras on the building. The FBI went around to all the businesses and seized those. We know they've gone to the neighborhood where this guy lived, told everybody to shut up. Now, joining us are eyewitnesses. They were down at the building. They went to this Joe Stack's house. They talked to neighbors. Neighbors said, hey, have you been here earlier? We talked to you. We've made commitments not to talk now. That's the FBI. And then looking at his photo on the news, Joe Stack, this is the live music capital of the world. He was a guitarist and a synthesizer player. Rob Dew has even made some of the music for our films. Rob Dew knew him. Not well, but knew him. So let's break all this down with Jason Douglas, Rob Dew, videographers, webmasters, researchers, producers. Everybody does everything here. I cross-train everybody. You guys were down there today. That's a separate issue. Right now, what did you see? What happened when you went to his house? And then you knew him. Let's break this down right now.
All right.